Bonjour, my royal friends. This is Princess Diane von Brainesfried. I want to talk to you today about something that's really important. Um, you know, if any of you have had a disagreement with a friend or a loved one, relatives, or any kind of altercation or just some friction, it can be very hard to reconcile, very hard to make things better. And it can be even harder if one party does not want to, is not receptive to this reconciliation. And I'd like to give you a little tip and a little piece of advice. So I would say keep trying. And that seems very hard to do, and it can seem very vulnerable. You can feel stupid, you can feel ridiculous for trying, but the stakes can be very high if you don't, because there's something down the road called regret. I mean, people have sometimes arguments over the dumbest things you can't even remember years later why. And you might have wanted to reconcile, but I always talk about strategy. So it's easy to say, how do you keep the door open? How do you keep your heart open? How do you keep trying? And I'm not saying try all the time, because again, there may not be receptivity. But here's a tip that I have learned, and it came to me as an epiphany the other day. I'm the princess of epiphanies. And the tip is fly above the frequency. I'm going to say it again. It's really important. Fly above the frequency. Now, what does that mean? We all emit frequencies in our day-to-day activities. So you can have a frequency of happiness, a frequency of sadness, a frequency of agitation. It's kind of a vibration, but it's real. And people can perceive that. And yourself, you can perceive that. I'm in a bad mood. That's like a frequency. It's kind of a shorthand, but it is an energy. Everything's energy. I would say this strategy is fly above the frequency of the altercation, fly above the frequency of the pain, fly above the frequency of the anger, fly above the frequency of the fight. You fly higher, okay? And it's not meaning you're better, because everyone has their own, we call it mishigas, problems that we can dredge up. And sometimes what's really happening is not what's really happening. So there's surface things that are happening, and you think you're having this fight about a flower, and you're really having a fight about something that happened way back when someone was pulling weeds and they pulled the flower, not the weed. Who knows? You can't figure these things out. The time we can't even figure out what's going on in ourselves sometimes. But my advice to you is just keep your eye on the prize and fly above the frequency of this thing that's happening. And in that kind of envelopment of, I would say, fly above the frequency and put on the frequency of love. Really, that's it. Your frequency, that's your job. Your frequency is stable in love. It's really hard. You have to keep coming back to it. But fly above the frequency in love. And at some point, you'll have a chance at reconciliation. But if you don't try that, you'll have no chance. And you know the consequences. I don't have to tell you. So anyway, if you like what you hear now, please go subscribe to my blog at princessdianevonbrainesfried.com/blog, and you'll get a free gift as well. Gotta have my princess plug. And ta-ta for now. Mwah.